Hello guys. Now you might have noticed that maybe I haven't been playing Warzone for the last month or so. I've been making content consistently for Warzone for the last year and a half, and then suddenly I just stop. I've been playing Warzone for around 1,000 hours, and if you've been watching my streams recently, I think most people would see how I've felt about the game for a long time. I'm going to be talking about a ton of issues with the game. Some of them will be pretty obvious, but others may be more personal to me. I genuinely believe some of my best content has come from Warzone, and obviously I've seen massive gains from playing and making videos about it. But ultimately, this game is one of the most mentally draining games I've played in my entire life. And also, no, I haven't been banned, and second of all, I've never even been shadow banned, so clearly I'm just not getting reported enough. And on that subject, let's talk about cheaters. The last day I actually played Warzone, I think we had cheaters in about 50% of our games. Literally the last game of Warzone I played was when 6 cheaters took over the server and had a 2v2 melee match to finish the round. But come on, there must be some level of stat checking where an algorithm looks at a 30 KD player with a headshot ratio of 90% and say, yeah, that's pretty much definitely not a real player. How on earth are we 1.5 years into Warzone and there's cheaters who go unbanned for like a week with 100 KD? It just blows my mind that it seems like the most blatant cheaters wouldn't get caught by the simplest algorithm checking stats. I really do hope that the new anti-cheat is effective, because so far it genuinely feels like the only way anyone seems to get banned is by player reports. And worse yet, the people that seem to get shadow banned are the actual legit players that just get reported for being good. Up next, let's talk broken mechanics. So real quick, there's 2 mechanics I think everyone can agree are unnecessarily broken, which is climbing rocks and the gas mask animation. I die to this in like 50% of my play sessions, and it seems so obvious that they should just change the rocks so they're climbable in most places, and as for the gas mask, just make it not cancel any animations you're currently doing, which you can sometimes manipulate by accident anyway. The moving circle isn't always synced with the server either, so if you try and time it skillfully, it still ruins you anyway. Now, let's talk about broken gun metas, eh? There will always be a meta in every game, no matter what, and you can't stop that. And I'm aware, as a Warzone loadout channel, I definitely contribute to players finding it faster. But what I can't stand is when there's certain guns that are clearly broken that aren't almost immediately balanced or vaulted. The actual pain of playing in DMR zone for those 3 weeks was where I almost quit the first time. And whilst we're here, let's not forget Akimbo Psychovs, Akimbo Snake Shots, MG82, R90 Fire Shotgun. If you can remember any more, let me know. Whilst they're getting faster at responding to broken weapons, a server-side vaulting system would work wonders for quickly fixing most mistakes. Not to mention the power of vaulting items that literally allow players to be invisible or have unlimited healing stims in the gas. I think there was a good week between players discovering the first infinite stim glitch to where they finally fixed it, only for them to find another way to exploit it just 2 weeks later. So far, there's been 4 versions of the stim glitch, and they've never just vaulted the stim. I just wish that seriously unbalanced weapons and gadgets were just addressed quicker. It just blows my mind that they can't notice these things straight away. But that's not all. Remember when the M4 was meta? The Grau, the Kilo? It felt pretty annoying to play against those weapons back in the day. Then we got the Cold War integration. I would argue that half the weapons that are currently considered balanced are way better than any of those old OP metas. The recoil on the Cold War guns is non-existent with similar TTKs to those original weapons. I honestly can't wait to see what they do with the World War II Vanguard weapons. And then there's stopping power and dead silence. Any decent player that picks these up is basically a guaranteed 1v1 gunfight win. The worst part about these pickups is that Raven Software is fully aware of their power and yet refuses to do anything about them. They're more interested in you having to pick a perk to counter it than just nerfing it even slightly. They even massively reduce the possibility of finding stopping power, only to then increase the chance of finding dead silence instead. The thing that frustrates me most about this is that I assume the thought process is that these abilities are one of the few ways a lesser skilled player can take down a higher skilled player. But in reality, what really happens is the most skilled players take advantage of these pickups to absolutely decimate lesser skilled teams. Easily one of the most unbalanced items in a Battle Royale I've ever seen. Personally, alongside that, I also think the self-revive needs a rework. The self-revive animation itself needs to be way more obvious and have a much louder audio cue. Plus, you can buy a self-revive in the shop, but you can't buy an armor satchel. It's just weird balance. Stun grenades and heartbeat sensor are up there as well, but I'm not going to get into that. Now, controller aim assist has always been a controversial topic, but this is my take on it. Whilst I think that aim assist overall is a little bit too strong compared to other games, console players with 70 FOV and less than 60 FPS absolutely need aim assist to be able to compete with PC players on 120 FOV and 200 FPS. My issue is specifically with PC players having the exact same controller aim assist when they don't have the same handicaps. I 100% believe that aim assist should be balanced separately on PC compared to console. I think Apex has a similar system. And frankly, I don't even know if it's fair that old generation console players on Xbox One or PS4 play against PC players at all. Right now, I think even controller PC players will agree that something needs to change. Now, on to the big one. One of the main reasons I find Warzone frustrating is the harsh skill-based matchmaking. But let's face it, if this game didn't have skill-based matchmaking, it would be nowhere near as popular as it is today. I completely understand why it's there, and it ensures maximum engagement for all its players. It's a win-win for Activision, and in the end, the people that complain about it play it anyway. However, ultimately, you are playing a silent ranked mode, with nothing to show for it. With no future plans for a ranked mode, nothing to work towards. But then, on top of that, the number of ways to manipulate the skill-based matchmaking is astounding. I don't even know if regular skill-based matchmaking lobbies even exist because of how many ways people have found to circumvent it. At the end of the day, I don't see why they don't just add a casual mode which is open about having no skill-based matchmaking, or adding a ranked mode so that people can finally play truly against players of their own skill level. And this leads me on to the game modes. So they don't want to remove skill-based matchmaking from any mode, including Plunder, so there is no mode where you can truly have a casual experience. Verdansk Resurgence and buybacks are the most fun I've had in Warzone since its release. There is still skill-based matchmaking, but because of how these game modes are structured, people play more relaxed because there's less to lose. They feel like the most casual, fun way to play the game. Everyone seems vocal about how good these modes are, and then boom, 1 week later they're removed and replaced by some random modes that you've never heard of and no one talks about. And they don't bring a mode back like that again for another 3 months. I just don't understand why they can't have a casual Battle Royale mode on rotation every week. And don't get me started on this year's zombie mode. All they had to do was bring back Zombie Royale from last year, but instead they made a different mode that's somehow worse with more jump scares, which is the one thing everyone hated. And lastly, for my Rebirth bros, they keep removing and changing Rebirth Resurgence quads when it's clearly the most popular Rebirth mode and no one asks for anything else. Just keep it as a permanent mode. Just to wrap things up, I think that a lot of my frustrations with any game always comes from getting over the honeymoon period, remembering the good old days of the first few months of the game. The thing that kept me playing the game was enjoying the process of making content for Twitch and YouTube. I've now reached a point where I feel like I've made every video I want to make. The game is much more competitive now than it was, regardless of skill-based matchmaking, players are getting better, and the casual player base is getting smaller and smaller. My background is from Battlefield, where it's truly a casual experience with no matchmaking. Most games are generally easier and more chilled. I just don't really have the passion to strive to get better at the game, and that's on me. I will most likely be returning to this game at some point when the new map and the anti-cheat is out, but until then it's probably going to be a lot of Battlefield 2042. If you agree with what I say in this video, then give it a like, and if you disagree, then dislike. Let me know your thoughts about what I've covered, or if you think differently. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching all my Warzone content from the past 2 years. I hope it was helpful, and maybe I can do the same again soon with the new content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.